Hey everybody, Tracy Brown here. So this video might go a little bit all over the place. We'll see what happens. I hope you're having a great day, no matter what time of day you're watching or listening to this. I know you can hear probably the outside nature sounds, and hope that doesn't annoy you, but it's what I got, so that's what we're gonna go with. Okay, I wanted to make this video around the idea that I know when a lot of us, this is going to be kind of two videos in one, kind of. So I know that when a lot of us are going on this recovery and intuitive eating journey, that we want everybody to get it and to be kind of on our side and understand it. And the truth is that that may not happen. I mean, we're going to have some people in our lives that no matter what we are embarking on, if it's keeping us safe and it's making us healthier and happier, they're in the long run, they're probably going to be on board and to see where this goes for us. There are going to be people that don't really get it, that care about us and just, going to stay out of it. And then there are going to be those people that are super skeptical or in fact downright, maybe there are people who like a good argument. Maybe there are people who just don't know what to make of it, so they might ask you questions, and that doesn't mean they're challenging you, or they may be challenging you because they want to understand more, and that's how they get information. And then you're going to have a segment of people who just think that intuitive eating and even recovery that's not weight control based is just crazy. There are going to be people like that, and that's okay. We're not here to try to make everybody else do what we're doing. We're staying focused on what brings us freedom, given the past experiences with doing what is culturally acceptable, which is to food restrict, to worry about the size of your pants, to think that there's a better way, a way of there's a better weight than the one maybe we currently have, or I'm okay with where I am now, but if I got bigger, I couldn't be happy. Those kind of beliefs and statements and all those kind of things. So there are going to be people who just don't get it and maybe haven't done the scientific research around weight isn't the main determinant in our health, and that there is something called genetic diversity when there's going to be differences in how people walk around in the world, and not everybody needs to be a very small size to be healthy. That's just it. And even if that, even if everybody agreed on that, then to the next level is even if people that's not their priority to have certain behaviors that maybe elicit, longer, vitality or longevity or whatever, that we don't, judge them as less of a human, essentially, for not being as interested in that. So whatever. But those are just things that are kind of they've been around for a really, really, really long time, and that do exist. So I'm just making this video as a way of understanding that if you're listening to this and you're just hearing about your loved ones or somebody you have in your life, and they're trying to talk to you about intuitive eating or health at every size, or that maybe their practitioner isn't helping them try to purposely lose weight, or maybe your person you care about or you're having a conversation with is learning to just eat all foods with neutrality, and they're not following any kind of certain regimen about you should eat a certain amount of fruit and vegetables per day, or a certain amount of numbers of movement hours per week, or that you're actually eating sugar or eating all kinds of things that we're told we're not supposed to eat, and somebody is doing that, there's a reason why, and there's a process to the whole thing to get to the place where all foods fit and aren't a place of worry and anxiety and fear and stress and obsession. And so at the beginning, you eat the foods to be able to make peace with them all. And that's how it goes. And so it's a process. It might take people months or years to get to a place where just, a whole buffet of everything you can possibly imagine existing to eat is available. And people are able to see it and pick and choose and eat their favorites and eat a variety and leave the rest. And it's not a big deal. There's no stress involved. That's what this process is working towards. So there's that part. The other part that I really want to talk as much about after I got that background part done is, I had to unlearn prejudice that I just believe that if you eat more food, or if you eat sugar, if you eat fat, or eat desserts, or just, eat certain foods, there were these magical properties that magically made you gain weight. And I learned that through my own struggle. So it's around 2000 when I had this giant epiphany. Again, the resources were pretty limited around intuitive eating, around body peace, around these things. A lot of the studies weren't out yet or available, and I didn't know how to look for them. I'd only read like 2 books, I think, like Making Peace with Food by Susan Kano, and I read Breaking Free from Emotional Eating from Jeanine Roth, and that's it by that time. And those have been around even longer. I'd read those books maybe 3 years prior to 2000, so hadn't read much, and I was just fumbling through my intuitive eating journey kind of on my own, to be perfectly honest. And I unfortunately when I realized this, I happened to be in this like restrict and binge cycle where you couldn't have looked at me and think that I was a binge eater, by stereotype. But yeah, I did every day for years and years. And my cycle was restrict during most of the day, and then started binge eating probably by 4 p.m. And that would continue for about 4 hours. And I did that every day, like I said, for probably 3 or 4 years. And in little bits here to the year after that. But in 2000, I was just doing a typical grocery shopping trip of like, okay, this week I'm going to be good. I bought my ice cream, and I'm not going to eat the whole thing in 2 days, meaning like a quart, I think, something like that. And I had some cookie dough. Those are my, honestly, binge foods, 2 of the main ones. And but I would tell myself every time I bought them, like, I'm not going to eat this all at one time. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make like 2 cookies and have a bowl of ice cream, and that's all I'm going to do. And, that amount of food, like a good sized bowl of ice cream and 2 cookies, would probably be a, pretty satisfying amount of dessert on a daily basis if I hadn't been dieting all day. Essentially, that's what it was doing. So I wasn't like in a hardcore eating disorder, anorexia mode that I'd been in the years prior, but I was still in this cycle. So I look like probably kind of normal dieter of, eating the safe foods or eating the low calorie foods all day, and then at night eating the foods I wasn't allowed. Pretty typical story and cycle. And, I was struggling at the checkout line of like having this internal la 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 in my head, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to manage this? I can do it this time. I can not eat all this stuff in 2 days. Telling myself I was going to be different. And so I'm going through all this. And all of a sudden I look up for some reason, and I see a woman. She had a little kid. And she was a woman in kind of like, some people call her like a smaller, fat body. And she had similar stuff in her cart that I did. I mean, more of it because I assumed she was feeding more than one person. I was just feeding myself. So the volume of food was bigger, but the same kinds of things because she had a kid with her. So again, I made that assumption. And I remember thinking, had a split-second moment of like, I wonder if because of certain foods that she had in her cart like I had, that she was overeating them, and that's probably because of what she looks like. And I caught myself, and I was just so ashamed. And this was the first time I had caught myself in that projection of thinking that certain people look a certain way based on what they eat. But I projected based on my own pain. I just had like literally like 1 second earlier, 5 seconds earlier of like, I knew that I was going to be binging on those foods, and I was going to struggle not to do it. And I was going to, and I'm sure I did that day. But after I had that split second thought, I started thinking, okay, wait a minute. How do I know that she doesn't eat those? How do I know how she eats those foods? I have no clue. I just made a judgment based on her body size, how she eats that food, because I'm judging myself, one, and now that's spilling out into other people. And that's not okay. And I fancy myself this loving, compassionate, I care about people kind of person, and here I am making a judgment. So one, it helped me kind of cut the crap on my pride. And two, it started making me realize, oh, this whole cycle is about this belief I have that you're a certain kind of person, or you weigh a certain amount of food based on what's in your shopping cart or what you eat, and there's magical properties to this food. Well, I knew the source of some of my own weight gain was because of this binging cycle, that I wasn't allowing myself to have what I needed, so it was causing me to eat based on survival and eat more than I needed. And it wasn't because of magical ice cream and cookie dough. It was because I was starving, forcing my body to conserve, and eating to deal with the starvation. And so I had to deal with that. And that pain of all that was making me judge other people, to distance myself from my own pain. So again, this was all happening so fast. I mean, we're literally talking a few minutes. But then as I did that, I started to just turn my head sideways after I kind of dealt with that personal shame of, what makes me think that her body is so bad? Where did I get that? And I started having these thoughts, and I didn't have much time to think about it because, I'm checking out on the grocery line as I'm, putting my food here and getting ready to pay for my food. And it started making me think, who says inherently that a bigger body is worse than a smaller body? And who said that a muscular arm that's harder is worse or better than maybe a softer arm? And I went all my things. I felt like I, had to be, muscular and lean and tan and whatever to be even possibly seen as attractive or whatever. And I started looking, so who says tanner skin is more valuable or appealing than whiter skin that's not out in the sun, or fake tanner or whatever, that all the garbage I was thinking about or doing at the time. And, because I had my identity wrapped up in all those kind of things, by the way. So I'm just calling myself out on all of it. I did at the time, and I'm always happy to do it again, because I think it's important for us to yeah, that was my stuff. So I started just questioning myself, and then I would go, the exercise that I'm encouraging you all to think about doing today and throughout your life. I do this a ton in sessions with clients because we can really dive deep and get to the root of it. At the time, I didn't really get as far as the root of it until I started working with a professional, but I was able to make some progress with just going places and who says that inherently, I would see my legs and how they were shaped differently than somebody else's legs, and just do that exercise. Well, who says that inherently mine's worse or better than hers based on the shape, and where did that come from? And I didn't quite get to dealing with all the somatic and all the emotion that was stored in my body around that, but I was able to really get to a lot of it, where I learned this stuff, and basically made a decision, where do I stand? Do I want to be a person that makes that has that belief system? Because if I truly believed that, I'm a people person and I love people, and I'm, I could see I tend to see the good in people and who they are, then what makes their bodies detract from that in any kind of way? And I'm not saying that we're, that all people look a certain way based on any kind of behaviors or healthy or all that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is that just to be curious and to be open to seeing people as human, and that if I can look at my backyard here and see all different kinds of trees, palm trees, oak trees, some of the trees, trees I don't know what they are. If I can look at all that and see okay, here's trees, love me some trees. What makes me think that one's inherently worse or better than the other because they're shaped different leaves, whatever. Just whatever's going on internally, I can't know, and make any assumptions about that. But what I see is I learned to value things more or less than others, just based off of human fears or opinions or something that somebody made up that I don't even know. And I'm going to base how I interact with people or see people based on that? I don't think so. I'm done with that. So that was the beginning of seeing and calling out my own weight worries and and Prejudice, and that helped a ton. Honestly, that helped a ton with my binging. It wasn't the whole thing that fixed it, but it really helped me on the journey of like making more peace with my own body. And it kind of broke the spell. It's almost after that time in 2000. This was in the spring. I just remember having a whole different experience with seeing people forever. And that was 18 years ago. More than that. And I'm so grateful for that painful moment that I got to recognize, like, ooh, I'm doing that thing. And it impacts me. And it impacts how I interact probably with other people, just even if they never know it. And that was really important. So are there a lot of good people out there that, you know, don't mean to be doing that, but they are? Yes. And so this video is maybe for you, that maybe you're doing that and you don't even recognize it that much, or you've never challenged it. So here's your opportunity. If you're somebody who still thinks that like fat is bad and is gross, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that you feel that that's true. And I just encourage you to maybe think about where that came from and how that helps you or serve you feel better about yourself, if that's what's going on. What is that for you? So that's what all this video is about, is to think about seeing people as human, and, you know, regardless of what people do with their food, with their bodies, how does that impact you in your relationship, walking around the world with other people and yourself, to carry around that idea that, like, you know, bigger is inherently worse. You know, is there a weight on your shoulders about that? So I hope this video was helpful, potentially to you personally, to whomever you might share it with. It's an important topic to my heart, just to be able to be in more peaceful relationship with just people in general, and then it, you know, for yourself. So hope that was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all and talk to you all soon. Remember, Friday is Q&A, and that will happen at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. So if you have your questions, please be asking me randomly, private message me, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.